that that darkness was overcome by light. Despair was overcome by hope. And sadness was overcome by joy. And that our lives have now an eternal meaning. Without the resurrection of Jesus, my dear friends, the cross would be a defeat. But with the resurrection, the cross becomes victory. And therefore, all our struggles in life, all our sufferings, our sacrifices, they all find meaning and purpose in the light of the risen Christ. So today, my dear friends, we rejoice. Not because Jesus rose from the dead, but because Jesus lives among us. He walks with us and promises us the same new life. A year before pandemic, I had that wonderful opportunity to have a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. We were 13 or 14 priests from the Diocese of Legazpi. And one of the most unforgettable experiences that we had was when we were in this Holy Sepulchre, when we were celebrating Mass at the empty tomb of Jesus. We were there, but we were given only a very limited time, just enough to celebrate a 45-minute Mass. But since the place was divided into two, an anteroom and a small chamber, a small room, we were instructed that while the Mass is going on, we can go inside that small room one by one. When I knelt inside that small and dimly lit chamber of the Holy Sepulchre, I felt the weight of silence pressing upon me. And in that sacred stillness, time seemed to dissolve. Then I placed my hands on that cool slab. Tradition holds that was where they laid the body of Jesus. And suddenly, my priesthood felt profoundly real. And then I told to myself, this is where your priesthood began. This is the origin of your faith. This is the origin of your priesthood. It was, my dear friends, a wonderful experience. For years, I have proclaimed Christ crucified and risen at every altar, at every Mass. But there, in that place, within the very tomb that once held the lifeless body of Jesus, the gospel was no longer words. The gospel was presence. The presence of Jesus was very real. I could feel the presence of Jesus in that small room, in that small chamber. Yes, the tomb was empty. The tomb was empty, but strangely full. full of hope, full of promises, full of mercy, and full of love. And then, while the Mass was going on, a priest, I noticed that one of my companion priest was already crying. Tod-tod naghahagulhol na. And then, pigpupugulan ko sa sadiri ko, day ka maghibi, day ka maghibi. When another priest started to cry, and then, uminabot sa panahon, nagaro na kami choir. Gabos na kaming sinfulness.